Player progression has been in eFootball for years now, but I still see most people barely scratching the surface of it. It's not just about boosting stats, it's about shaping a player to perfectly fit your playstyle and your team. And once you learn a few simple tricks, you'll never look at player progression the same way again. I'll break it down into 3 parts. First, how progression and auto-allocate work, and why exactly those two things can be extremely misleading. Then I'll show you a smarter way to find the right upgrades for your player. And finally, how to use progression to build a balanced team and not just a single player. Every card in eFootball, except for trending card players, like Team of the Week cards, start at level 1. As you play with them or use training programs, they gain experience and level up. With each level, they earn progression points. These points are what you use to upgrade the player's stats in different categories. Now, this is where many players, especially newer ones or those who just want a quick upgrade, run into trouble. They rely on the auto-allocate button. Auto-allocate is the feature that automatically distributes all of the progression points across different stats, based on the main position listed on the player's card. Sounds helpful, right? But here's the catch. First, the game doesn't take the player's actual strengths or weaknesses into account. Let's say you've got a winger who already has amazing dribbling. The auto-allocate system won't recognize that and shift points into his weaker areas like passing or physicality. No. Instead, it just follows a preset template based on position, no matter what the individual player really needs. Second, auto-allocate only cares about the main position on that card. That means, if you plan to use a player out of position, like turning a winger into an attacking midfielder or a defensive fullback into a center back, auto-allocate won't adjust at all. It will still build the player like they're being used in that original position. And that brings us to something really important: understanding why chasing the highest rating possible isn't always the best idea. Let's talk about that next. Now here's what I see all the time. Players open the progression screen, try to move 1 or 2 points, and instantly back out the moment they see the overall rating drop. It's like a panic reaction. Oh no, my player got worse. But here's the thing. That number you see, it only tells part of the story. As I mentioned earlier, that rating is based only on the main position listed on the card. If you're planning to use that player in a different role, maybe turning an attacking midfielder into a second striker, that AMF rating doesn't mean much. What you really want to know is how he performs in the role you've actually chosen for him. And here's where the website or app eFootball Hub come in. It lets you check what rating a player would have in every position on the field based on the current progression. That means you're no longer flying blind. You can test how different builds affect the player in different roles before using them in-game. And even better, eFootball Hub lets you apply the auto-allocate option for any position, not just the one listed on the card. This can be incredibly useful if you're trying to retrain a player into a new role. For example, if you want to use a defensive fullback as a center back, just choose CB and see how the game would distribute those points for that role. This is especially useful for those of you who have no clue how to start building a player. Just use the auto-allocate option for the position you want to train them for, and then adjust. You don't have to build from scratch. Let the game give you a rough outline, and then you can remove unnecessary stats and basically fine-tune the rest based on your tactics and personal preferences. Yes, making even small tweaks can drop a player's overall rating, but that doesn't mean your build is worse. In fact, your changes might increase the player's effectiveness for that role you actually want him in. Let me give you a quick example. Imagine you have an attacking midfielder who you want to use more like a finisher and not a pure playmaker. You take a few points out of passing, put them into finishing. His AMF rating might go down, but suddenly his rating as a second striker jumps up. Because now he fits that role better. That's progress. But here's the trap. Too many people focus on the player in front of them. What's his rating? What are his strengths? What does he bring to the pitch? That is important, but it's also kinda short-sighted. Football is a team sport at the end of the day. And in eFootball, how you upgrade a single player shouldn't just be about him. It should also be about how he fits into the rest of your squad. So let's now talk about how progression can be used not just to boost individuals, but to balance your team, cover weaknesses, and bring out the best in your entire system. Now that we've talked about why you shouldn't be afraid to make changes, here's the next step: how to actually make those changes in a smart way. Most of the time, you don't need to build a player completely from scratch. Auto-allocate can be a good starting point, but the real value comes from the small tweaks you make afterwards. And those tweaks should usually be based on 3 key things. First, the role you expect from the player. Think about what you actually want this player to do. What role is he playing in your system? Is your CMF meant to be a deep-lying playmaker, a box-to-box engine, or a ball winner? Depending on that, you'll want to shift his stats accordingly. Maybe more passing or balance for control, or more stamina and defensive awareness. 2. How he complements the rest of the team. Second, don't think in isolation. Every player is part of a bigger system. Let's say you have 2 center backs. One is fast and good on the ground, the other is a bit slower. It might make sense to upgrade one of them with more aerial strength and physical contact to cover for the other's weaknesses. Or maybe your DMF is already great at breaking up play, so you can give your CMF more offensive stats without compromising balance in your team. These kinds of decisions might not boost the overall rating of the player, but they definitely boost your team's performance. And that's the most important thing. Number 3, your own preferences and playstyle. Don't be afraid to reflect your own personal preferences in your builds. For example, I've upgraded some of my offensive midfielders with more aerial strength. Not because it boosts their rating, but because it helps them to hold their ground when under pressure from strong defenders. That's something I value in my playstyle, and progression gives me the freedom to build for that. These small adjustments, tailored to your tactics, your players, and your preferences, are what turn a generic build into your own build. At the end of the day, progression in eFootball isn't just about numbers or ratings, it's about control. And the system gives you the tools to shape players the way you want them. The auto-allocate option is a shortcut, but it's not the final answer.